in what way has it evolved for you, and how much of that was kind of not planned, but a bit more, okay, this is the direction I want to go in, versus, oh, this just happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. If I don't know, 50-50 maybe would be a safe thing. I can tell you certain ones that I like, things that I remember. Right now, I would say that if you got somebody to describe me, well, I made that channel trailer where I got people to describe me, but they focus on the fact that, like, they would say, oh, it's detail oriented and like nerdy and nitty gritty and that kind of thing. That aspect has been an evolution, and it was from kind of testing the waters. The idea of, oh, we can make a photo video channel about gear and that kind of thing. I mean, that has already been established that you can do that. That's a thing. So, and there was other people, like I said, I could model it after. Some of my early videos I was doing, tutorials on software and stuff like that. And Peter McKinnon had already basically proven that people want to see those or will watch those. So you're not experimenting or figuring things out at that point if you do that, right? But if that just opens the door and lets you go in the room, then there's multiple spaces in the room that you have to occupy and figure out what you're going to do there. And I kind of walked around and touched different things, and I was, not sure what was going to work. And sometimes you'd get a little feedback, you'd get like a positive response on one thing, and you'd be like, really? Nah, maybe that's a fluke, because I'm interested in that, but that's got it. Like, nobody else would be, right? And I kept going back to that and back to that, and that would be the like super, I just call it like nerdy camera gear stuff. But I want to say some of the early ones were, I think one of the really early ones for me that was the one where I wasn't sure is like, was this a fluke? Was I made a video because it was like the 10th year celebration, or it wasn't no 10th year celebration. I just made it that, but it was like 10 years since Micro Four Thirds, the system came out, and I was like, I think I was gonna do a video, and that video got delayed, so I wanted to make another video to keep up a schedule. And so I was like, well, let's talk about Micro Four Thirds for like a 10-year thing. What should I talk about? And I decided to look into some of the origins on it. And when I was doing that, I read something that said that it wasn't based on the aspect ratio 4:3. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I ended up going on this rabbit hole where I was just reading a lot about television tubes and like how cathode ray sizing was, and it just, so I was like, oh, that's great, cool. Anyway, what's my video going to be about? And then somehow I was like, what if I just consolidated all this information into like a presentable package, and then made it as kind of like, let's talk about the origins of Micro Four Thirds while as sort of like a 10-year thing. And I put the video together, and a good portion of the video, probably like a third of it, is me just doing math on the screen with sort of like lame Photoshop animations that I made of like numbers transforming numbers, showing how you can measure a TV tube to make it equal 4/3 through like fractions. It was just like, I was like, what am I doing with my life? But I posted that video. Yeah, I posted that video, and it did surprisingly well. It was one of those ones that, 50,000 and then 100,000 views. And it wasn't even marketed particularly well. And a lot of people were commenting like, oh, this is great. I love it. Talk nerdy to me, all that kind of stuff. And so that was one of the ones where I was like, really interesting. And then I went back to my kind of regular, run of the mill kind of camera gear stuff. And then one day I wanted to make you know what it was? It was whenever I was feeling like something was missing, or that I didn't feel like the explanations were up to the standard for which I would want something explained to me. Like, it didn't work for my brain. I then thought, well, if there's somebody out there that thinks like me, I'll dump the information that I finally figured out for my brain onto somebody else. And the videos did really, really well. And that's the thing where it's like, how is there market for this? Like, it doesn't, I make jokes where it's like, if you want to watch a video of some guy yelling numbers at you for 20 minutes, I've got them, I've got, and they were longer than what people were making YouTube videos at the time. People were making 8-minute videos. I was making 19-minute videos of me, like, just saying the names of codecs for like 19 minutes. Anyway, they did well. So that was the evolution where I felt comfortable that I could do more of that. And it also kind of allowed me, I guess, to put more of, it's tricky because when you say put more of yourself in the videos, I think people mean like be less professional and be more personal. And the reality is that is how I am. I just try to present it in a rapid, concise way. So I think I come across as serious. But if anybody knew me in real life, they'd know that I literally do spend my time deep diving weird things and then yelling at people what I've researched and writing on whiteboards and stuff like a maniac. Like, that's me for real. So the videos are actually pretty pretty legit versions of me, and it's great to be able to do that and have people care. This is a long-winded answer, but it's also a perfect example of my videos I'm talking about. I just yelled at you for 10 minutes of like, you know, it's talking about cathode ray tubes on a podcast. What are we doing here with our lives? You know?
This is amazing. It's a live video.
Was there an answer? Was there an answer in there? I think there might have been.
There was definitely an answer, and actually, I love that. And you're right. Because there are people that maybe look for ways to make their videos a certain way and maybe lose themselves a little because they're trying to chase the numbers or something. But I guess what you found is that you could wholeheartedly just be yourself on screen, and you've kind of like found your people, right? It's like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And that's great because as much as you're still going to encounter people that get on your video somehow and go, what is this? This is garbage. I don't want to see this. And they're like giving, but the fact is the people, if you do find your people, like you said, then that level of support and positivity is higher than I think if you go broader, you get kind of broad support, if you will. But if you go specific and you get specific support, it's usually very rewarding because you feel more connected to the audience in that case, because you're like, these people get it. They're like me, you know, they're into it. And then you can also, then you can maybe push a little bit more. Like, okay, we're going to get pretty nerdy this week, see how that goes. And that's the evolution part that you asked about. It's that just pushing out a little bit, feeling things out, you know, stretching what you can do a little bit more here and there. And then I still throw videos in that are just kind of like, you know, you gotta review the new camera, you gotta do whatever. But then you start letting it bleed into that. Now when you review a new camera, you don't just do it by the numbers. You do kind of like, you bring some of that other stuff that people liked into your camera reviews, and then now you get a bigger audience for the nerdy stuff. I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying. That's my evolution.